On March 12, 2026, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held his first press conference since the outbreak of the war between Israel and Iran. The war began on February 28 after joint U.S.-Israeli strikes targeted Iranian military and leadership sites, including the attack that killed Iran's longtime supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Within days, Iran's Assembly of Experts appointed his son Mojtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader, signaling that the clerical establishment intended to maintain continuity despite the leadership strike. As Netanyahu addressed reporters, Israel remained under active threat.
Iranian missiles were still being launched toward Israeli territory, demonstrating that the campaign had not yet neutralized Iran's ability to retaliate. The moment illustrated the central tension of the war. Despite massive military operations and claims of success, the conflict was far from over. Netanyahu attempted to project confidence about the campaign's trajectory. "We are crushing the terrorist regime in Iran," Benjamin Netanyahu said. "We are striking and crushing its proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon." The Israeli leader described the war as a historic confrontation designed to reshape the Middle East and weaken Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities. The operation, launched with U.S. cooperation, was framed as a preemptive effort to stop Iran from completing advanced weapons systems that Israel believes would threaten its existence. Yet embedded within the same press conference were remarks that hinted at the limits of military power. Netanyahu acknowledged that while Israel could weaken the Iranian regime, the ultimate outcome might depend on internal developments inside Iran. "It is in your hands," Benjamin Netanyahu said, addressing the Iranian people. "We are creating the optimal conditions for the fall of the regime." The statement suggested that regime change, the political goal often associated with the war, might not be achievable through military action alone. The war itself began with one of the most dramatic escalations in modern Middle Eastern history. On February 28, coordinated Israeli and U.S. airstrikes targeted multiple sites across Iran, including military installations, command centers, and nuclear-related facilities. The most consequential strike killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who had ruled Iran since 1989 and served as the country's highest authority for decades. The assassination immediately created uncertainty about Iran's leadership structure. However, the Islamic Republic's governing institutions moved quickly to fill the vacuum.
Within days, Iran's Assembly of Experts, an 88-member clerical body responsible for selecting the supreme leader, announced that Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the slain leader, would assume the position. Mojtaba Khamenei had long been considered a potential successor to his father and was widely believed to have deep ties to Iran's powerful security institutions, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
His appointment indicated that the regime had rallied internally rather than fractured after the leadership strike. The new supreme leader's first statement, delivered through Iranian state television rather than in person, struck a defiant tone. Instead of signaling a willingness to escalate, the message suggested that Iran intended to continue the fight. The Strait of Hormuz should remain closed as a tool of pressure, Mojtaba Khamenei said. The reference to the Strait of Hormuz immediately raised alarm across global energy markets. The narrow maritime passage between Iran and Oman carries roughly one-fifth of the world's oil supply, making it one of the most strategically important shipping lanes in the global economy. Following the outbreak of war, shipping traffic through the strait slowed dramatically as Iran threatened vessels, and attacks on commercial ships were reported in surrounding waters. The disruption removed millions of barrels of oil per day from global supply routes and triggered sharp increases in energy prices. Oil markets reacted immediately. Crude prices surged past $100 per barrel as traders feared that the conflict could interrupt Middle Eastern production and shipping for weeks or even months. The energy shock quickly spread beyond financial markets. Governments around the world began discussing emergency releases of strategic oil reserves and alternative shipping routes to compensate for the disruption. For policymakers in Washington and European capitals, the crisis underscored how a regional conflict could rapidly evolve into a global economic problem. Meanwhile, the battlefield itself continued to expand. Iranian missile launches toward Israel persisted even after 2 weeks of sustained airstrikes against Iranian military infrastructure. Although U.S. and Israeli officials said many Iranian launch sites had been destroyed, Iran retained the ability to carry out attacks using remaining missile systems and drones. At the same time, the war spread across the region through Iran's network of allied groups. Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese organization backed by Tehran, launched rockets into Israeli territory from southern Lebanon. Israel responded with airstrikes and military operations targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. The escalating exchanges raised fears that the conflict could evolve into a full regional war involving multiple fronts. Netanyahu addressed the Hezbollah threat during his remarks, acknowledging that the group remained capable of attacking Israel despite years of Israeli military pressure. That acknowledgement highlighted the enduring complexity of the region's security landscape. Even when one adversary is targeted, others connected to the same alliance network can still maintain operational capacity. The political dimension of the war was equally significant. For Netanyahu, the conflict unfolded amid domestic political challenges and ongoing legal issues inside Israel. Some analysts suggested that a successful military campaign could strengthen his political standing by rallying public support during a national security crisis. However, as the war entered its second week, the outcome remained uncertain. While Israel and the United States had achieved major military successes, including the elimination of Iran's supreme leader and strikes against numerous military sites, those actions had not yet produced decisive strategic results. Iran's government remained in power. Its military forces continued launching missiles and coordinating with regional allies, and the global economic consequences of the war were growing. Inside Iran, the rapid appointment of Mojtaba Khamenei appeared to reinforce the resilience of the country's political system. The Islamic Republic had long been structured to maintain continuity, even in the event of leadership losses. Rather than collapsing, the state apparatus continued functioning. Iran's military command remained intact, and large public gatherings in several cities demonstrated support for the new leader. For Israel and the United States, this raised a fundamental strategic question. Could military force alone produce the political transformation that some policymakers hoped for? Intelligence assessments had previously suggested that regime change in Iran was unlikely to result directly from external airstrikes. The Iranian political system is deeply institutionalized with overlapping power centers that can maintain authority even after major shocks. The early developments of the war appeared to support that analysis. Despite the loss of its longtime supreme leader, the Iranian government quickly reorganized and continued directing military operations. At the same time, the broader geopolitical implications of the conflict continued to unfold. Attacks linked to the war targeted energy infrastructure and military installations across the Gulf region. Several countries hosting U.S. forces faced drone or missile threats, highlighting how the conflict could expand beyond the immediate Israel-Iran battlefield. The United States also increased its military presence in the region, deploying additional naval forces and thousands of troops to support operations and protect shipping lanes. Each new escalation carried the risk of pulling additional countries into the conflict. For global leaders watching the situation, the war represented one of the most volatile geopolitical crises in years. 2 weeks after the first bombs fell, the strategic picture remained deeply uncertain. Israel had demonstrated its ability to strike deep inside Iran and eliminate high-ranking figures. Yet Iran's capacity to retaliate had not been eliminated. Missiles continued to fly across the Middle East, energy markets remained unstable, and the political future of Iran's government, one of the stated objectives behind the campaign, remained unresolved. Netanyahu's press conference captured that uncertainty. The Israeli leader projected determination and confidence, emphasizing the scale of the military operation and the strategic partnership with the United States. At the same time, his acknowledgement that regime change could not be guaranteed highlighted the unpredictable nature of the conflict. Wars rarely unfold exactly as planned. Military operations can achieve tactical success while leaving broader political outcomes uncertain. In this case, the question facing policymakers was not simply whether Iran's military capabilities could be weakened.
It was whether the war would ultimately transform the region's political landscape or simply deepen one of the most dangerous confrontations in modern Middle Eastern history. For now, the answer remained unclear. Iran's government was still standing. Its missiles were still being launched.
And the war that many expected to be swift and decisive had instead become a prolonged and unpredictable struggle with global consequences.